Welcome to the Graceful Exit podcast. I'm Kimberly Hertz, founder of the Graceful Exit, created to educate, empower, and support women as they navigate divorce. Beginning with us, we are putting a stop to the divorce stigma through meaningful conversations about the emotional and endearing experience divorce often brings. My hope is that you'll follow along on this journey and join our community of women navigating divorce with grace. Hello, everybody. Today I have the absolute pleasure of meeting with JoAnn Little, who has her own business in the San Diego area, but is here as a trusted professional on the Graceful Exit and is going to give us a little bit of background about herself and her professional.
Great. Thank you, Kim. Hi, everybody. My name is JoAnn Little, and I am the owner of a divorce mediation firm called Divorce Help. You can find us at www.divorcehelpfamilylaw.com. I'm also the owner of the Second Saturday Workshop for Divorce, and that is secondsaturdaysandiego.org. And that is a workshop that we do each month on the second Saturday of the month to help people understand the process of divorce. So it is a complete educational workshop where we have a variety of professionals who are integral to the divorce process speak and answer questions. So it's a wonderful resource for those who are seeking information because, as we know, going out to the internet is not always the best idea. So I got into, I'm a certified divorce financial analyst. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm a mediator. I also arbitrate for FINRA, which is the association that governs the securities industry. I hold all of my securities licenses, the typical ones, the Stockbroker Series 724, which is a principal, a muni principal, life and disability. And that was my background. For years, I worked for large corporations as a financial planner, as well as going into management and managing the Southern California territories for companies like Allstate and First Interstate Bank, Citibank, and North Island Federal Credit Union. I went through my own divorce in 2006. And I realized just how broken the process was. It's just like anything else. You decide you're going to buy a white Volvo, and all of a sudden you see all these white Volvos around you. Yeah. So going through a divorce, all of a sudden I was attracting others going through a divorce. And I was hearing how awful it was, and the attorneys and the money and the children acting up. And I decided that that was an area I needed to look into. Going through my own divorce, I learned about the process of collaborative divorce, and I learned about the designation of a certified divorce financial analyst. That person looked a lot like me. They had a CFP. They had lots of experience in the financial services industry, but that particular designation would devote most of their efforts to the division of assets, debts, and income in a divorce process. So I obtained the designation. And then in 2010, I went out on my own. When I went through a divorce, I had two children, 7 and 14. I also realized that children will do as well with the divorce process as the parents do. So I also was very keen on, because obviously divorce happens to over 50% of us now, keen on ensuring that our next generation, our beloved assets, our most valued assets, our children, our families, are protected. So I went out on my own. I worked for a couple of different mediation firms, went on to form my own firm and bring in the professionals needed. It's based on the collaborative process. So I have myself with the financial expertise. I have family law attorneys, paralegals, parenting experts, people who have expertise in doing qualified domestic relations orders to split retirement plans. And then we have other services that we can bring in if needed, such as any type of valuation or tracing or forensics.
Perfect. So what I appreciated about knowing a little bit more about your company is that I feel like it's all servicing, right? And it's all aspects of divorce are housed, or you partner with those other professionals in your environment. So can you help me understand the pricing model? So if a individual like myself goes in and is looking for a collaborative divorce, how does it all work? Is it a one-time fee? Do you pay each professional as you go, or can you describe the whole process for me?
I think that we, as we go out into the world and share our talents and develop our firms, our businesses, we tend to want to come from a place of what would we want, right?
Mhm.
So I like to give people a really good value for their money, and I expect the same in return when I'm out shopping for services. And I also like to have some certainty as to what something's going to cost, right? If you go to an attorney, you typically put a retainer down, right? You really don't know what that retainer is going to get you. Is it going to get you the petition filed, the respondent served, your disclosure activity, any professional time? And I can see why that's done because people who are going through a crisis or a challenge sometimes can be very high maintenance in the way of talking and needing services and things like that. So, but there also is structure, right? So we can navigate our way through very difficult situations if we have a good structure. And I feel like that's what my firm provides. We have a very structured process. I am a very structured individual. And
Mhm.
because I'm in financial, that really is sort of the foundation that we have to create when we're going into a divorce process. So I have what's called a modified flat fee. So what I do is with folks who are interested in my mediation services, I will do a complimentary consultation for both parties, right? Because we really do want to start out at the same level. We don't want anybody to feel that the other party is being favored. Everybody in my process is neutral, unless, of course, I'm working with you as a financial and you have an attorney or you just need that advice on the side or you want to peek down the road. So I do that as well. But my main focus is the mediation process. And in my mediation with Divorce Help, which is the name of my firm, a couple will get everything that they need to get a divorce in the state of California. And that is a combination of not only professional time with professional advice and information, but also all of the court tasks. So, all of the petition paperwork, the filing, the serving of the respondent, the completion of the disclosures, the marriage settlement agreement, the judgment packet, all of those things are done through my firm. You will get a different professional. For instance, our attorneys will be the ones who are scribing up your final agreement, not myself. But I work together with my other professionals in the process so that all of my clients get the level of expertise they need, not too much, not too little.
Mhm.
So it is a modified flat fee. I go over with my clients exactly what they'll be getting for the price. Sometimes, for instance, if there is a qualified pension plan and we need that quadra, the qualified domestic relations order, that is done by a specialized attorney and that is outside of the scope of my services. So that would be an additional charge. But I clearly outline any additional charges that would be present in the process. But for the most part, I would say the majority of my clients sort of navigate their way through what's offered for that flat fee price.
Got it. And then help me understand too about the length. How long are typical clients with you, and how long does this take from beginning to end? If somebody's just happening to navigate divorce for the first time.
Right. So, in the state of California, after the respondent is served, there's a minimum 6 month wait period before you can be legally divorced. That doesn't mean you can't be done with your mediation and have your agreement on the way to the court, by all means. I would say the majority of my clients will navigate through the process with all of the court tasks, and then the submission of their agreement to the court generally will happen anywhere between 3 and 5 months. I can move as quickly as my clients. People can get a little behind the dime when it comes to the disclosures, which is where they have to put down all of their assets and debts. So sometimes that takes a little bit longer with folks. You know, it's a good idea to take care when you're going through a divorce, but if you let too much time go by in between, you sort of lose momentum. So I would say it's realistic, the 3 to 5 month time frame, which of course lines up perfectly with the court's cooling off period.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then how about as far as your advice on mediation versus litigation? Do
You
you
know, I had an attorney who used to speak at one of my seminars and I loved it. And she says, don't use a wrecking ball when all you need is a hammer, you know?
That's a great
Um,
analogy.
yeah. And I mean, the thing is The first two steps in mediation, and I take payments, so it's not like you have to pay everything up front. You sort of pay as you go. The first two steps in mediation, which is, of course, filing the petition and serving the respondent, have to be done regardless of what venue you're in. And we do it for much less pricing wise than if you went to an attorney. And then the disclosures as well. So generally speaking, if something is going to fall apart, it's after the disclosure meeting, and the clients would have only made two payments and have had all the paperwork filed at the beginning of the process, and then also at least kind of got a peek into what the other person's mind was. And hopefully we got all the cards on the table as far as the admission of assets, because discovery is where the prices go up high. That's when you hear the six-figure divorce, because each attorney is doing discovery, which means that they're asking the other party to do their disclosures and submit the disclosures along with all the backup information. I had a client I worked with who had been with an attorney, and she was really in the dark. They were getting ready to go to court, and she was so nervous. She didn't understand what was going on. Nobody would explain anything to her. And I said, do you have your disclosures? And she said, yeah, I have discovery. I'll send it to you. It was 3,023 pages. That probably costs like $50,000, honestly. Mm-hmm. So in any case, in mediation, we can start. And if it doesn't work out, which rarely in my case does it not work out, I get a lot of people the other way who are with attorneys coming to me, then you can always go into litigation. But again, don't use a wrecking ball when you could use a hammer.
Yeah, so true, so true. And then you had touched about your CDFA. Can you explain that in layman's terms of what an individual and why an individual would need a CDFA in a divorce?
Well, again, I work with attorneys and I have many trusted attorneys, but most of those attorneys do not have the financial depth and breadth that I do. Not just the designation. The designation teaches you, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, probably pretty plain, but also years of working in the brokerage industry and understanding how to read statements and understanding how things move and what's reasonable, what's not reasonable, being able to look at tax returns and understand if there's money that may not be disclosed and things of that nature. So you will find it hard pressed to ever find an attorney who has my knowledge when it comes to the financial division of assets and debts. So that was my perfect formula, was to take somebody with my background. I know enough legally to be dangerous because I hang out with these attorneys all the time and I hear it over and over again. But really, they are the legal voice, right? And I'm not bringing them in to represent anybody. Everybody's neutral. But you need that information. You need that legal information to say, if you don't decide here, and here's your issue, this is likely what's going to happen. And that's what we do. So it's a wonderful combination. We come in, we get all the paperwork done. I go through, have a disclosure meeting, clarify and classify all assets, debts, do all the follow-up items before we get to the negotiation, where we bring the neutral attorney in. And then you have your financial head and your legal head. And you don't really need much more than that to make those decisions, right? And the ref, of course, right? We're referees, we're neutral referees who are saying, okay, hang on. This is what you need to look at. This is a creative option to maybe what you're trying to do. Nobody's going to get their full A list, but we want to try to get each of you part of that A list.
Mm-hmm. And because divorce is so much driven by the financial piece of it, I think it's absolutely critical to have that designation or have that education in whoever you serve. So I very much appreciate you being able to have both sides of it. And I can attest to, I'm sure that is a great value add that you bring to your clients, because to your point, not everybody has that. So
right. I think so. I mean, I love my model. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. And then talk to me, you had mentioned about Second Saturday. Not everybody knows what that is. So help me understand how you got involved in it and then why you're so passionate about it.
Well, first of all, it's an amazing resource. It's over 2 hours. We do it via Zoom the second Saturday of each month. And it's an hour of information from a family law attorney about divorce, all the aspects of divorce, spousal support, child support, how you file for divorce, different things to avoid. And then I speak about in depth about disclosures and how to do them and how important they are. And then we have our parenting specialist who's fantastic. He used to work for the Superior Court. So he was the guy that you would go see if you couldn't decide on how to parent your children, and he would decide. And then a variety of other specialists, a divorce coach, real estate agent, post financial planning services we offer as well. And it's $20, and people ask their own questions. I mean, it would be to have those speakers and have those consultations with under 12, so people have plenty of time to ask their questions. It's a wonderful resource. One of the attorneys I used to work with, you had the second Saturday workshop, and I came in as her CDFA and spoke. And then at some point, she just got tired of, having to work with it and Saturday morning. And she asked me if I'd like to take it over because she felt like I would do it justice. And I said, absolutely. And so that's kind of how it started. There's about 90 workshops nationwide. We have 3 here in California. So I'm the second Saturday Central workshop. With COVID, everybody went via Zoom. Some folks went with a very abbreviated version. We kept our full workshop, and I think we're going to stay on Zoom. I think it just makes it a lot easier for people to attend and a lot simpler. And I don't think we sacrifice any of the expertise doing it via Zoom.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. When I went through mine, I actually attended a second Saturday in Orange County, and I can't tell you how valuable it was
Mhm.
just to have those resources at your hands and have that open forum to ask the questions that you may not can't afford at the time, right?
Right,
Uh,
right. Or you go out on the internet and it's like, what?
yes, exactly. Well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you having as a trusted professional on the Graceful Exit. And just curious, why did you decide to join the network of professionals at the Graceful Exit?
Well, I think what we have to offer at our firm, as well as through Second Saturday, is an amazing resource for anybody who's contemplating or is involved in a divorce. An amazing resource. Education is going to take away some of the fear of the unknown. And so I think the best thing you can do is educate yourself on what's ahead. Also, when we go through something that makes us feel different, and I know when I went through my divorce, it made me feel different because I was married for 23 years, and my family and everything, it just was a big change, and you feel a little naked. So bonding and hearing and having that experience of other people going through it, I think is really, really helpful. And also a team. Together everybody achieves more. I know it's a kind of an overused expression, but I really, really believe in it. I liken what we do. I'm a kind of a sports junkie, but I liken what we do to like a professional hiking guide, right? I'm not
Mhm.
going to carry you up the mountain, but I'm there to lead you on the right path. And if you start to stray off, I'll bring you back. And if you
Mhm.
need supplies, we have them because I want you to reach the top of that mountain empowered and educated. I don't want you to lose your power. So many people come to me and they say, I never told my attorney to do this. I never told my attorney to say this. We've had people come back together after they've been with attorneys behind those closed doors and say, well, I never said that. I never meant to do that or offer you that or take that away from you. And, you're losing your power. And I get it. You feel like, ignorant of what to do or what to say. And so you want somebody who's going to represent you and not let you get, taken over the coals. But it doesn't have to be that way. It
Right,
doesn't have to be that way.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, your time, your empathy that you have for your clients, because I definitely think that that comes through in this interview, especially knowing that you've been through it before. So you've walked in their
Yeah.
shoes. And the fact that you're making this a better process for everybody, I can't tell you how much we appreciate that and bringing you on.
No, I'm honored to be part of the Graceful Exit. The more that people can learn about these services, I think the better. And yeah, that was definitely, I loved what you had to say. We met early on and I signed on at the end of our first meeting. So,
Well, thank you. Is there anything in closing that you want to educate the community about?
One thing you had asked me to talk about was my style of service. So we have a very hands-on type situation. Um, we are all people underneath our situation, right? We're all human beings. And so I think it's really important. I'm very, very responsive with my folks, and I'm very forthright. Okay. So I'm going to tell you if you're going the wrong way, or if something that you're doing is sort of out of the mix of the big picture. I think that sometimes people need to hear that, but I also have a lot of compassion for what people go through. And that's why I do what I do. I don't want you to spend all your money down. A lot of my clients are, 50 to 70. And, we don't have the chance to go back and make it up. And so I want to see you do what you need to do, but I don't want to see you spend most of your retirement either. So,
no, I appreciate that. The transparency, I think, is so important in this environment, and you don't get that from all professionals. So
yeah,
I can definitely appreciate you bringing that to the table.
great.
Well, thank you, JoAnn, so much for your time and
Okay.
education. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.